Hey, it's MK, and I am here with a Stretch the Sketch layout for you guys today, and this is the sketch that we will be doing. It's from Sketchabilities number 154, and it is from 2018. I'm also playing along with 31 Days of Cut Files with MK and Janet. So I was going to share with you guys the photo here on my phone, and just in case I forgot the details about the sketch, I wanted to make sure that it was actually recorded in case I forgot. So I have a bunch of mishmash stuff that was basically put in a pile, and then on top of that pile was put a newspaper clipping, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this hot mess? I'm going to make a layout. Hopefully, who knows? So I've got some film strips from various places, from an October kit and a December kit and a advent calendar kit. I've got my cut file here, which is this really cool squared off barbed wire that just has a couple little half gears and things like that in it. It's just a really good addition to any type of rugged layout. I really like these types of cut files. I'm just taking off all the little inner bits and pieces that didn't fully cut out or come off of the mat. I have this little scrap here from Paper Rose. Here's a newspaper article. That is me actually right there. And yeah, that was back in the day when I used to be on the mine emergency rescue team, and we visited the schools and we showed the children a rescue scenario of sorts. And at each school, it was a different scenario. So it was super fun. I've got all of these stars here. Now, one of them is a mock-up. I have this really cheap balsa wood that I use to do my mock-ups. I don't put adhesive behind it. I don't put masking behind it or anything. And I really wanted to share that with you guys because one of the stars is the mock-up and the other star is what you guys receive after you take your masking off. And I just feel like it's a really super clear picture of what you guys get, but the mock-up is still just as good, right? I have this Dusty Attic chipboard that is actually the Discover section. That's a really cool little kit. It's a lot of little chipboard pieces that that can go on a lot of a lot of layouts, you guys. It's not made for just one. I've got tons of scraps, Minte, Close to My Heart. This one here is my favorite Close to My Heart collection. It was that outer space one that they did. And then some rice paper by Light Studio. And then this is also from Close to My Heart. It's called Irresistibles or resist paper of some sort. That has a embossed image on it, and then it's white on white. So when you add some sort of ink or paint or color of some sort, the resists that color and then shows a white through it. And I'm going to show you here just a little bit of how it works. But first I'm going to tear my rice paper so that way it's not as square as what it is. This is one of the things that I've always done with my rice paper is just tear off this edge and give it more of a softer look, more like a mulberry paper rather than that harsh sharp edge of the end of the design. So I'm going to use this tacky glue is what it's called. It's from Tonic Studios. I got it in my Tonic Studio craft kit. One of the things I loved about those craft kits, which I've currently stopped getting just because they went back to the 3D objects and things. I like it when they spent 2 years basically on card making, and card making I can usually translate into scrapbooking. And so I really liked that. And for 2 solid years, almost 3 years, I was really dedicated to the kit. But then they started going back to their 3D decorative objects, right? Making a lantern and making a little purse and things like that. And I was like, no, I can't really use those. So I'm going to back off until they go back to card making. But one of the things I loved about those kits, which I was telling before I got distracted, was that every time I felt like I was running out of adhesive, bam, they'd throw it in the kit. Like they knew I was going to run out of adhesive. It was awesome, you guys. I really did like that, and I never went out of adhesive. Now I have to actually go and buy adhesive. Strange. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make my rice paper look like it's still part of the background by adding this black soot. And now you can see the resistible shining through. You can see the little polka dots coming out. And I thought this paper was absolutely perfect for this background because it's got a mishmash of a bunch of stuff going on. So I was like, hey, I can use the resist and have a little bit of polka dots going out too. And it's almost like it's part of the rice paper page, right? Okay, so I don't know much about newspapers, but I heard back in the day, and this is like back in the 90s, that if you put a newspaper inside your scrapbook album, eventually the words will fade and everything's going to fade and you're not going to be able to read it anymore and it's going to be useless. So I want to preserve my newspaper article by adding just some clear packaging tape to it. Now, is that the right thing to do? I have no clue, you guys. I don't know. As far as I know, this newspaper article is already 10 years old and it's never been in an album. Seriously, it's been in my memorabilia box forever. And I finally addressed my memorabilia box. And now this is finally getting on a page. You guys, this is from, I want to say 2010. Oh, I just dated myself, really. So probably 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. I honestly don't remember the exact date. I just remember how many years I was in the service for the mine emergency rescue team in the mine that I used to work at. But I know that it hasn't been protected. It hasn't been under wraps, or in a page protector. So in my brain, I'm thinking, I'm a little skeptical, right? And I'm thinking, if it hasn't been protected and now I'm getting ready to actually protect it, why did I need to cover it with masking tape? I don't know those answers, but it made me feel a little bit more secure in exposing my newspaper article by adding that extra barrier. So now I don't have to worry about it a couple years down the road. My kids are flipping through the page. I get a blank newspaper article and it's like, Mom, what was this for? I don't remember because now I'm old and antique and I have no clue what was on that newspaper article. So hopefully the masking tape will help preserve that and I don't have to remember what was on that blank newspaper article if and when it fades, right? Because like I said, it's already 10 years old, or more so, right? It's over 10 years old. So what I did with my cut file, and this is one of the reasons I love these cut files, you guys. I know I didn't leave it in its true form. I really didn't. But I did use it like it's intended, right? This is what my cut files are intended for. They're used to be cut up, or they're meant to be cut up and used in little tiny pieces. I absolutely love my grungy cut files because then you can adapt and improvise them for your own personal needs. And that is one of my favorite things ever about these types of cut files. Even though you look at them and you go, what am I going to do with that? I don't have a husband that works on cars. I don't have, things like people automatically go to cars. They automatically go to, the guys, right? And for me, I just like the look of them. I like having that little mixed media bits poking out on the end, even though the only mixed media I did was I Mod Podged a piece of rice paper and I added ink to the edges just so it would blend in, right? That's the only mixed media I did. I didn't do any mixed media on my cut file, which is fine. But in the end, its intended purpose is to have those little bits and pieces sticking out and just being a really cool element on your page, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my film strips on this page. I have to tell you guys that the film strips that were included in the advent calendar are sticky backed. I have personally never used them as a sticky backed until today when I realized I need to figure out how to adhere these film strips to my layout. Like I didn't want to add precise adhesive where I think my photo was going to go because I always mess up. I never am that good at guessing as to where adhesive is going to go. So I decided for once I'm going to use these as intended, the film strips as intended, and go ahead and pop them on the page and glue my film strip down. And then I knew roughly where to glue and put adhesive on my orange film strip. But when it came to the green one, I really didn't know. So the adhesive on the black ones actually came through for me. They are super thin once you peel the adhesive off. And so I do have bumps and ridges, but that's going to be covered up with the photo and everything's going to be fine. All right. So for my little leftover pieces, you guys, seriously, This layout was created by just adding a bunch of leftover pieces in a pile, and then I picked it up and thought, I could make a layout out of this. Should I? Probably not. But can I? Absolutely. And I did. Do the colors go together? Nope, not one bit. They seriously don't. I definitely would not have put these colors together. But in all honesty, if you look at if you're going off of my photo has to match all of my elements. I've got green from the grass that we're playing on. I've got orange from the brass tripod that we created. I've got rope coming through. So there's my twine. I mean, seriously, it all matches. We even have a little bit of red, but my red stripes are a little on the orangey side, if I'm being honest. So it's not really that red. And when I put it on top of the orange film strip, they did actually look a little orange. So my stars, I wanted them to all match. I have chipboard stars. I've got a little arrow that says amazing. I pulled out another arrow because you can't just have one arrow. And I wanted them to all match. I really need to invest in some white paint, you guys. I ran out of white paint, and I've been too lazy to go all the way to Elko, and I say all the way because it's 20 miles away. Oh, I feel like every time I go to Elko, I spend all day there, and I just don't have a day to spend in Elko, right? I don't know why it feels that way, but it is. It's true. So I've been using this gesso. I know, I hate gesso, but I have it, and I've been using it, and I bet you $10, once I run out of it, and I don't have it anymore, I'm probably going to miss it. I'm just saying, I don't use it. This is the most I've ever used it because I ran out of white paint. Seriously, I'm just saying, I need to go get white paint, you guys. And I was in Elko yesterday for something. I'll be in Elko today, too. Yeah, I'm going to the movies. Promised my daughter I'd watch Deadpool and Wolverine. That's where I'm going today. I don't want to, but when you make a promise to your daughter and she's very persistent, you kind of have to go do that. Yes. But I don't want to go see this movie. So I have a couple children that are going to keep me company. Yeah, I can't wait. I told my one son he's going to sit across the theater from me because he ruins every movie I go see at the theater. He does. It's just his nature. Okay, so the stars that you guys receive in your package actually do come with a sticky back. So I've got a couple sticky back stars, and then my mock-up, I had to use some glue. I just used my regular Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive liquid glue. It sticks beautifully into the wood. I love it. And then I'm going to do the exact same glue to glue my chipboard down. And I like actually how the gesso soaked into the chipboard and then came out more like a gray than a white. I really do like that because then they stick out on top of my white background. Also, I forgot to mention the whole point of Stretch the Sketch. Our sketch is 12 inches and you can't do a 12-inch layout. That is the whole point of Stretch the Sketch. You have to do something other than a 12 by 12 layout, or if it's already an 8.5 by 11 sketch, you have to do something other than 8.5 by 11. Same with a double. If it's a double, you can't do a double. So that's the only rule to Stretch the Sketch, is that you can't do what the sketch was intended for. So I went ahead and I shrunk my sketch down. Instead of using tickets, I used film strips. Instead of using a square photo, I used a rectangle photo. So when I shrunk my sketch, I kind of shrunk everything down too, and I even smushed the photo down too. Not intentionally, but that's how it happened. And I really do like it. But because of it being a lot of white space, that's when I pulled out that white rice paper and decided to let the rice paper help out my background just a little bit more. And I really did like where they put that their logo, the Sketchabilities logo, and that's where I decided to add my extra little element up at the top. I knew that it was supposed to be just a white blank space, but I did like that extra element, and so I went ahead and I worked with it, right, and added it to my own layout. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to check out the links that I have down below. I have a link for 31 days. I have a link for Stretch the Sketch because now we are in a playlist. Yay, we're growing up. I love it. And then, of course, don't forget to check out Janet Fritz's channel, who not only is my partner in 31 Days of Cut Files, but Stretch the Sketch is her baby. It is her hop that she does once a month, every third Sunday of every month, and she's been doing it for 5 years, you guys. 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. I don't remember. A long time, and it is fabulous. I love it. I love utilizing sketches where, that when they're not intended, right? Nope, that came out wrong. Anyways, you guys get it. All right. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. I really, truly appreciate it. And I will check you guys all later. Bye.